Hi, U.S. History classes. Hope your week went well. Mr. Golson here going to go through the assignment and schedule for March 30th to April 8th. So please note that extended deadline, and you got plenty of time to get this next activity done. All right, so this last week we talked about the Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis, two early events that really tested President Kennedy. He was a young guy, not a lot of foreign policy experience, and he inherited the plan for the Bay of Pigs from Eisenhower and the CIA. And when Kennedy took office, they just made it sound like, hey, this is a piece of cake. We're going to train these Cuban exiles. We're going to give them some air support. We're going to send them to Cuba. Boom, boom, boom. Overthrow Castro. Get rid of those dirty communists 90 miles from the border. Well, it didn't turn out that easy, did it? Kennedy got cold feet the last minute. We trained the Cuban exiles, but the last second he decided, I'm not going to give that air support. That seems kind of like an act of war. When we're sending the Air Force there to bomb Cubans and then have the ground invasion. So without the air support, those Cuban exiles were sitting ducks, and it failed. And it really was, an early black eye in Kennedy's administration. And he decided, that I'm going to break up the CIA. They've gotten too powerful, and he really didn't have a good relationship with the CIA. Already doesn't have his relationship with the Soviets is strained because of Cold War going on and other things. And then he gets into the Cuban Missile Crisis, where the Soviets, and the Cubans try to take advantage of his maybe inexperience, try to establish these missile sites in Cuba. Why? Because we had missiles in Turkey, as you read in the Cuban Missile Crisis. And finally that gets resolved, but it was to the brink of war, almost World War III. But Kennedy, Khrushchev, got it done. They knew they couldn't use nuclear weapons. It would lead to a lot of destruction. And then that leads us to the next topic that I'm going to focus on this unit is the assassination of Kennedy. He wasn't in office very long. Always on ratings, when people rank the presidents in history, they think, Kennedy's always ranked high, but, he was only in office less than 2 years. And I think he's really famous because of his death. And if you like murder mysteries, you're going to like the JFK assassination. It's something that I got hooked on when I was in school. I had a history teacher who knew a lot about this, and he got us all hooked. So let's do an investigation about, who killed JF Kennedy. I call it CSI JFK. All right, so first thing I got in there for you is all listed exhibits. And so you're going to learn about Lee Harvey Oswald. That's the lone gunman. That's the guy who goes down in history as, the one that kills Kennedy. And so your first exhibit is going to talk about Oswald. Second exhibit is going to talk about what becomes known as the single bullet theory, or the magic bullet. How one bullet could cause all these different injuries in two men, in President Kennedy and the governor of Texas, Governor Connally. So you'll look at that. And then exhibit number 3, were the Soviets involved? They had a motive to kill the president. And so we're going to see, were they involved? And the last one, were the Cubans involved? Maybe. We just tried to kill Castro. Maybe Castro hired some people to come over here and kill Kennedy. We'll see. And the last one, was the CIA involved? Because of his strained relationship with the CIA, were they somehow, was this an inside job? Some people think it is. So you read through that. And then you're going to go through, and I got just the kind of little overview, a little case summary here. People involved, there's Kennedy, there's Oswald. You can look through that, and then read those exhibits and answer these questions. There's exhibit 1, I got exhibit 2, exhibit 3, exhibit 3, 4, 5, and then I have an optional one that you can click on. If you click on this news story, it's going to take you to, was the mob involved? Kennedy did a lot to try to break up the mafia, the mob. And some people think that they might have been involved. So if you want to, take a look at that 6th exhibit, optional. So collect your evidence. I'll probably throw a video at you sometime, just one you can watch to get some background information, or you can go out there and search YouTube and try to find one. A lot of good stuff out there. But once you collect all of your evidence, then it's going to use it to come to this final prompt. Your final prompt is, what role did Lee Harvey Oswald play in the JFK assassination? Give me a nice paragraph, like at least 5 sentences on that. And then what evidence do you find the most controversial? How do they fit in your report? And then who do you think is responsible for the Kennedy assassination? Was it Oswald, Soviets, Cubans, CIA, the mob, whoever? explain it to me in 5 sentences, and when you're done, turn it in. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be different. It's not going to be typical book work. Your chance to be the investigator on that and get that done. And then remember, your other assignment that's due this week is that letter to me that I signed last week. I want you to think about writing a letter to you about what's going on right now, quarantine, the coronavirus, things in your life, and how it's making you feel. Got that due on Friday, April 3rd. So get that done. Count that as a current event grade. And then I think I'm going to collect those letters. And then next year, when you graduate, I'm going to hand you back your letter at graduation. Okay, so you can just kind of reflect after a year of being removed from what we're doing right now. This is history. This is going to be in our history book someday. And we'll see what you wrote. See that letter to you. I think it'll be fun to read that. Okay. Keep on top of those assignments. Still got some people that haven't turned any work in. Get it done. It's important. And as always, you got any questions, hit me up. All right. Have a great week.